Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa and Internet World. Welcome into the Monday edition of the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral.com, right here on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, right here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon as well. Anywhere you can get your podcast, you can check out the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. I want to say big thanks to Chris Walsh putting us on another week. Go follow him on the Twitter machine, on the X machine, at Writing Walsh. We will talk about that a little bit today. We'll get into a lot of topics today. We're going to have a fun time on the Joe Gaither Show. We hope we're going to have a fun time on the Joe Gaither Show. We appreciate everybody jumping in and listening today. You can leave a comment on Facebook, on Twitter, at Joe Gaither6, on Instagram, at Joe Gaither6, pretty much any social media site. It's at Joe Gaither6. We had a fun weekend. We'll get into some of that. We got a number of topics to get into today. But the main event is going to be head coach Jeris McIntrye from Tampa Catholic High School down there in Tampa, Florida. Head coach Jeris McIntrye coaches the Tampa Catholic Crusaders, former Auburn Tiger. Sorry about that for anybody who's off-put by that. But former Auburn Tiger, Kansas City Chief, NFL Europe as well, and the head coach of Tampa Catholic Crusaders, the head coach of Jameer Grimsley, 2024 Alabama cornerback commit. So we'll hear from head coach Jeris McIntrye in a little bit. That's going to be the main event for today's show. But we will have several topics that we want to get into from the weekend. As always, we want to encourage you to check out our other Bama Central podcasts. We've got All Things Bama with Katie Wyndham and Austin Hannon, and we've got Blue Collar Unplugged with Blake Byler, Jacob Pickle, and Matthew Gibson, Blake Byler. Going short on one name. Matthew Gibson, Blake Byler, and Jacob Pickle. Yes, all three of those guys bringing you Blue Collar Unplugged, the other two Bama Central podcasts on the Bama Central Broadcasting Network. So what will we do on a Monday? Obviously, we've got about a 15, 20-minute conversation upcoming with Jeris McIntrye that we talked to earlier in the day. I really appreciate you, Coach McIntrye, giving me some of your time talking about the recruitment of Jameer Grimsley, all his skills, and kind of what makes him unique. We encourage you guys to stick around and listen to that. We also want to talk, still on the recruiting train. Alabama got two pretty big recruits, one underrated recruit and one highly, highly coveted wide receiver over the weekend. We will talk about the two recruits that Alabama pulled into the 2024 and 2025 recruiting class over the weekend. We will talk some golf right here, right off the bat. We'll start with golf due to the Open Championship, the Open going on across the pond. We'll talk about some golf, a little bit of Georgia connection, Alabama connection. We'll talk some golf here in a minute. We'll talk about Eli Gold. Eli Gold making an announcement over the weekend, really on Thursday, Friday. We'll talk about Eli Gold and what that means for you, the Alabama fan, and everybody tuning in to Crimson Tide Sports Network this year. We'll talk about Bryce Young. Bryce Young signing a big old deal, making some money this weekend, and then we'll talk about Vandy voters, and we'll see where else we're left with that after that. So why don't we start with, we'll get out the we'll get the hard topics, the kind of slow topic out of the way. Golf. I watched the Open Championship this weekend. I enjoyed it. Look, I watched the four majors. If you guys know me at all, you know that I enjoy playing golf. I am very, very bad at playing golf, but I enjoyed a lot, and I enjoy seeing the professionals really get after it at the highest level. And this weekend, again, over near Liverpool, over across the pond, you had a historic event at the Open. Of course, we'll give a little credit to Brian Harman, University of Georgia's Brian Harman. Georgia's Brian Harman credits, gives Kirby Smart a little shout out at the end of the round, or at the end of his championship, winning the championship. And you got to absolutely give the man some credit for playing smart golf, playing really accurate golf. What did he had the least amount of putts per for the event this past weekend. He putted very, very well. A large improvement on his putting track record. Not really known for being a great putter, but this weekend really putting it together and very accurate off the tee. You had a lot of guys going out of bounds, internal out of bounds over across the pond. Was very, very interesting. A lot of fun to kind of watch. You had the winds, the rain. Obviously, it was pouring yesterday on Sunday. Great. Good for you, Brian Harman, winning the event. What I want to talk about is the Alabama aspect. Oh, my gosh. Justin Thomas. Justin, come on, man. You and I or somebody's got to pull you aside, maybe your new wife, somebody needs to pull you aside and get your head back on straight. Justin Thomas misses the cut, misses his third cut at a major this year. Well, there's only 4 majors. You missed the cut. 3 out of 4 majors, 75% of the biggest events in golf this year, you missed the cut. And I'm sorry, Justin Thomas. I know you're great because I know that Justin Thomas is great. I've watched you here for a long time, winner of the national championship, 2-time major winner. You know, you've done it at the highest level already. But for the casuals watching you this year, you missed the cut 3 out of 4 majors this year, and oh gosh, I mean the detractors, the boo birds come out. The people who, he sucks, he's no good, come out. You get married and you lose your game. Well, there's some evidence to that. If you look at just Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth and Ricky Fowler come to mind, immediate mind, getting married and then having their games take a little bit of a dip. But Justin Thomas, look, he cards like an 81 and then a 71. He carded an even par round on Saturday and said, okay, obviously I've taken some good things from Saturday. Hopefully I can take that into their next event, the 3M Open over here in Minnesota, back across the pond in the States. Justin, look, I'm worried about you. You've been cut from 5 events this year. You've only made 3 top 10s already this year. Your lowest as a professional is 7 top 10s? You've obviously been a great golfer before. And look, you still have more talent in your pinky than I will ever have at golf. I know you shot 81 on Thursday, and a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, that's an amateur score," and it is an amateur score. Very difficult course, but come on, JT, we've got to get a little bit better results out of you, Justin. I'm not real sure what it is. Justin, after the Friday round, after he missed the cut, basically saying, I hit some shots out there. Like a number 1 player in the world, but I also missed the boat. Yeah, let's see if I can pull his quote real quick. I used today, this was talking about the Friday round, I used today as a good opportunity to get ready for next week, this current week. And I felt like I did that. The golf in Minnesota is obviously slightly different than here in Liverpool, but I'm hitting a lot of good shots. I'm just making so many bonehead mistakes and crazy things are happening. He goes on and says, the larger concern was unforced errors, which he called 9-year-old kind of stuff. Quote, there's nobody that shot 82 and hit some of the quality shots that I did yesterday, the Thursday. It doesn't make sense. I'll hit shots like a number 1 player in the world, and then I'll make a 9 on my last hole of the tournament. I don't know if it's a focus thing or if I'm putting too much pressure on myself or what it is, but I'll figure it out. I'll be better for it. Now, look, I do think, JT, you will be better for it, and you are going to work it out, but in the immediate future, the immediate next steps for you, Justin Thomas, I'm worried about you missing the Ryder Cup. And, people who are golf fans, the Ryder Cup is a big time event. You can say, I don't pay attention to golf, this, that, or the other. Okay, that's fine. But the Ryder Cup is essentially the equivalent of the Golf World Cup. You get the Team USA together against Team World, Team Europe, and they go head to head. And Justin Thomas has traditionally been very, very good in that event. Justin Thomas currently sitting in 13th place in Ryder Cup standings. I believe the top 6 players automatically qualify for the Ryder Cup. So he's sitting on the outside of Ryder Cup qualification. He is 6-2-1 in the last 2 Ryder Cups. He's basically been a strong player for Team USA over the course of his career. And right now you're staring at missing the Ryder Cup or forcing Zach Johnson, team captain Zach Johnson, to basically make a very hard decision. Do you give Justin Thomas one of the spots and one of the exemptions, even though he's been playing very hard? Let's see if I turn that off. We are not going to that sound right there. Sorry about that. A little bit of sound error. No problem. But yeah, do you make Zach Thomas give him one of your spots saying, hey, you're going to rise to the moment. You're going to play well in the Ryder Cup. You've played well in the Ryder Cup in the past. Or is Zach Johnson going to have to leave you off because of your run of poor play? Tough decision. Obviously, the Ryder Cup is huge in the game of golf, and you want to see Team USA win again. JT, you got a couple of weeks, man. Ryder Cup, I believe, starts. Let's see. I believe it starts. It's last weekend of September. September 29th, all the way through October 1st. And so you got a little bit of time, JT, a little bit of time to get your game back in action, get your game back in shape. Oh, the 3M Open, a nice day at the 3M Open is going to mean a lot this coming week. Hopefully you can bounce back, Justin, and get your game back on track and qualify for the Ryder Cup. Now, look, I'm going to save your ears for the golf talk until probably the Ryder Cup or until the FedEx Championship, which, honestly, JT is in danger of missing the FedEx playoffs for the first time in his golf career. And you hate to see that. You hate to see that because I would love to see him. Obviously represent Alabama very, very well, winning majors, making lots of money, and being able to give us some money that we can pull for week in and week out at the top of the leaderboard. All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube, everywhere that you get your podcast. Let's move it on to Eli Gold. Let's move it to Eli Gold real quick. Eli Gold joining my friend Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9. I believe it was Friday. Eli Gold jumping on the radio and saying, yes, I will be back. I'll be back for Alabama football this year. And obviously, we all missed Eli Gold last season, battling several different health issues. One of them, obviously, the main one, cancer. And that's a awful, brutal deck of cards, brutal hand to be dealt for Eli Gold. And so very, very happy to see him overcome that. You can hear that interview if you want to listen to it. I guess it's on all the outlets that Tide 109 puts out. But I want to talk about really two aspects. One, celebrate the return of Eli Gold. Absolutely celebrate the return. But Eli talked about saying, all right, I'm going to do two warm-ups. For the season. I'm going to mock broadcast the two Alabama scrimmages that you guys all know. None of us are invited to those Alabama scrimmages. That's really the option that Alabama has for preseason. There's no preseason games in college football. They can't line up and have a preseason game with whoever like they do in the NFL. And there's no jamborees like they do in high school. Lots of the high schools get together and play quarters against each other, kind of getting ready for the new year. Nothing like that in college. Obviously, the 120-man roster is going to be out there in Bryant-Denny Stadium, 2 weekends in a row. August, I think it was 26th. Let me see. August 19th and 26th. Are the two scrimmages. And look, they are right around the corner. If you're missing Alabama football, hang on, like a week away until we open up fall camp. And then we will be up all in Nick Saban's business, asking all kinds of questions, making him upset with us, trying to get you ready for the new season. But Alabama scrimmaging on the 19th and on the 26th. And I've got an idea. I think that really, Coach Saban, we can work this out. I know that those scrimmages are closed to the television public, to the TV public, and to the audience. To myself, I can't sneak into Bryant-Denny Stadium. If I do, I'll probably be arrested and banned for life. And so you cannot get into those scrimmages unless you know the right people, and those lists are very, very, very small, which understandably so. But here's an idea. We're in the NIL era. We're in the name, image, and likeness era. Let's get a link or a QR code or some sort of a way to listen to Eli Gold run those two practice broadcasts. Now, you don't get the television aspect. You would listen to it through the internet. You would listen to it on podcasts. You would listen to it on regular radio. But you would make it maybe you funnel it through Yay Alabama, the collective that runs here at the University of Alabama. Maybe you funnel it through that, or you funnel it through the athletic department. However you want to set up. How much could you get from the Alabama fan? Look, you've missed Eli Gold for an entire year. You didn't hear him call a single Alabama game for the span of 12, 18 months, probably longer than that, given that he last called a game at the end of the 2021 season. Yeah. So it's been a hot minute since we've heard the dulcet tones of Eli Gold, and we're all excited to hear him back in the booth. And we all want to know about what's getting ready for the new year. Obviously, the quarterback battle is the number one topic on everybody's mind. Understandably so. So you let Eli Gold call the game, call the scrimmage, and you let people subscribe to the broadcast. Now, you don't get to see it with your own eyes. You literally would rely on Eli Gold and John Parker Wilson calling the game as play-by-play in color, and then Chris Stewart and Roger Hoover and everybody else, Tom Stipe, everybody else pitching into that broadcast. Look, you could sell, $10 a broadcast?
$20 a broadcast, 30. I think I think it would be a very marketable experience, a very marketable thing that Alabama could take advantage of, and you get everybody excited. Now, obviously, you're going to, there's nothing you can see visually. You're going to be relying on John Parker and on Eli Gold to call those scrimmages. Now, this is just a pipe dream, but come on, this is the way that we're going in NIL, and this is the direction we should be going in NIL. Nick Saban, I know that you're super secretive and want to keep everything so close to your vest, but think about it. Put us back in the 1920s. Put us back in the 30s and the 40s. Put us back in where you're not getting every single college football game every single weekend. What did that really even start? In the late 2000s? Like, it used to be one college football game a week. Then it became 3 college football games a week. It was selective who got on. And so obviously these radio broadcasts became more important when you could not have a television broadcast. Let's get Eli Gold. Take us back to the old school. You say, sorry, you ain't on ESPN Plus. You ain't on SEC Network Plus. You're not on, RollTide.com. But you can listen to Eli Gold for $25, for $30, for $50. You can listen to these 2 scrimmages, and he can describe what the quarterbacks are doing. He can describe how the offense is running. He can describe who's playing in the secondary. I think it'd be a hugely marketable experience for Alabama. Obviously, Eli is already doing it anyways as warm-up, as prep for the new year. I want to commend Eli Gold for his weight loss, losing a lot of weight. Now he excused it by saying, he had no appetite. But still, to go from just north of 300 pounds to now he dipped down below 200, and now he's just over 200, getting some of that weight back on. But to shed a lot of that weight, look, it is not easy. So hopefully, Eli, we look forward to having you back in the booth, listening to us on Crimson Tide Sports Network, listening to all the games, getting the inside scoop. I love getting the sideline report from all the various sideline reporters over the last couple of years. Rashad Johnson last year, Christian Miller, and Mark Ingram doing a little bit of that together. Corey Reamer as well. Eli, Crimson Tide Sports Network. Yay, Alabama. Put your heads together. You got 1 month. You could get 2 major marketing experiences, 2 major money-making experiences, not only for the athletes, but it could probably help Crimson Tide Sports Network, probably help Yay Alabama. I think it'd be a great experience. Let's have a radio-only broadcast for those 2 scrimmages, August 19th and 26th, while the public is set, on the outside of Bryant-Denny Stadium, no televisions, no lives inside. It would be awesome to rely on Eli Gold and John Parker Wilson for that experience. And I think you could make a lot of money. Hopefully the powers that be are 2 or 3 or 4 steps ahead of me on that end. All right, let's keep this bad boy rolling. I want to talk about Twitter real quick, because I know it's not a topic for everybody. We'll talk about Twitter, then we'll talk about recruiting, and then we'll obviously hear from Jeris McIntrye, head coach Jeris McIntrye of Tampa Catholic. All right, so Twitter over the weekend. Look, if you're not familiar with it, Elon Musk has taken over Twitter, 6 months ago, somewhere in that range. And now he has changed it from Twitter to just X. Look, Elon, you're a strange dude. You're a weird man, in my opinion. And I'm not real sure that this name change, this marketing change is going to work out very well for you. Now, look, Elon has more money to waste than any of us. So look, if it doesn't work out, it's not really that big a deal to him. But very strange. Come on. It's reminiscent. It's kind of reminiscent a little bit of HBO, going from HBO, a great brand, a well-known brand, an established brand, to just Max. I'm not real sure that I'm game with it, Elon. I'm still going to call it Twitter myself. We'll see how successful that goes over for you. You guys can follow me on Twitter at JoeGaither6 for all the tweets, all the content, little video action, this, that, of the other. You can check out my dog from time to time. Miss Abby and I running our tails off over here in Northport, a couple miles away from Bryant-Denny Stadium. All right, let's put Twitter to bed because nobody cares about that. Elon, you weirdo, you crazy man. Let's put Twitter to bed. We'll get back to Alabama football. 2 topics for Alabama football, and then we'll listen to head coach Jeris McIntrye of Tampa Catholic talking about Jameer Grimsley. Okay, here we go. Professional first, then we'll go to recruiting. Professional first, Bryce Young. Look, no, not real breaking news, but Bryce Young signs his rookie contract with the Carolina Panthers. 4 years, $38 million. Obviously, with the 5th year option, with the 5th year option on the back end for the Panthers.
Bryce Young was, never holding out and didn't have that sort of issue in minicamp. Pretty much these contracts work themselves out as rookies. These contracts work themselves out as rookies, and so Bryce Young, congratulations, you make your money, and now it's up to you to get to that 5th year healthy, get to that 5th year playing well, proving yourself with Carolina. If you get through those 4 years, then basically you are in the big money. You all saw the contract that Jalen Hurts signed over the last 2 months ago with the Eagles, signed that $51 million a year contract. Oh my Lord. And worth every penny for the Eagles last year. If he continues to play at that high level, that will become a bargain over the next couple of years. We all fainted, 3 years ago when Patrick Mahomes signed his massive, monstrous extension, and now Patrick Mahomes is like 4th, 5th, 6th on the list for quarterbacks because that's just the way the market goes and the market is gone. So Bryce Young, congratulations. You now, have more money than any of us can ever dream of. I hope that you use that wisely, and, I am pulling for you to have a great career with Carolina, and we'll see what happens. I'm not real. Look, the NFC South is terrible. The NFC South is a bad division with Atlanta in flux without a quarterback, with Tampa, in flux, moving on from Tom Brady, and obviously New Orleans probably is my favorite in the division. But I could see Bryce Young putting it all together and surprising and winning the division with 8 wins, 8 and 9, 9 and 8, something like that. I think the division is pretty bad, wide open for Bryce Young and company to take over. All right, we'll stick with the NFL topics as we want to talk about running backs, and then I'll talk about the recruits. Major news, major scuttlebutt, not much news, but major talk, major discussion about running backs in the NFL. And a lot of it is centered around our man Josh Jacobs, as he is the reigning, defending NFL rushing leader, last year's rushing leader for the Las Vegas Raiders, coming off a rookie contract, gets slapped with a franchise tag worth $10 million, I must say. Worth $10 million, but obviously you want that long-term security in the NFL. NFL, not for long. You get one step go the wrong way, one injury the wrong way, and your career could be over. Obviously, I want Josh Jacobs to get paid. I want Josh Jacobs to work at market value, really higher than market value, because we're seeing the market value for running backs in the NFL is absolutely nothing. Well, near nothing. Derrick Henry, making 40-something, 50-something million dollars for his career so far. Chase Daniel, backup quarterback. And thank you to Dan Patrick for pointing this out late last week. Chase Daniel, backup quarterback. Yes, Missouri, from Missouri into the pros, played a year with my Bears. I think 2 years with my Bears, but only played in 2 games because of backup quarterback. Has made more money than Derrick Henry. I mean, I'm sorry. That's just a laughable stat. Laughable stat. Derrick Henry, El Tractorcito, one of the best players in the NFL, just happens to play running back and really the NFL. What do you do? What do you do at this point? You see the running backs have gathered together on Zoom this past weekend to kind of bitch and moan about the current state of the running back and how the contracts are going. You see Bijan Robinson, one of the rookies, is pretty much one of the higher paid running backs in the league this year. Christian McCaffrey leading all running backs. And Christian McCaffrey obviously earned that money, but it's just proven NFL teams have learned or have decided over the last handful of years that it's better, it's smarter, team building wise, to pay a couple of running backs average money rather than one running back superstar money. And so what do you do if you're Josh Jacobs, if you're Tony Pollard, if you're Saquon Barkley? What do you do? Now, Tony Pollard did sign his franchise tag. And so he's scheduled to play his 1 year, $10 million for the Dallas Cowboys. But both Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs opting not to sign it. We don't want to play on that 1 year, $10 million deal. What if I bust a knee? What if something happens? XYZ happens? Heaven forbid. I don't want any injuries to happen to anyone. But you're seeing it all over the NFL already. Before training camps open, Nyheim Hines tearing up his knee with the Buffalo Bills, just a tragic, not fun, not good situation. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson with the Detroit Lions, different position, plays defensive back, but also hurt before training camp even opens. That's how dangerous this sport is. That's how not for long it is. So what can you do? In my opinion, I'm sorry, there's nothing you can do. You can all hold in, and there was talks of that, exaggerating injuries to hold in and not play for their current teams. But you're never going to get enough running backs to do that. You're never going to get enough running backs. You've got Dalvin Cook out here looking for more than $6 million a year. Well, Raheem Mostert is signed, is going to take his $2 million a year. You look at Deontay Foreman with my Chicago Bears, signed to what, $3 million a year. These guys are going to take their money while your elite running backs try to get what they think they deserve. You can get equal or almost equal production for far less money. And look, none of us are economists as we're listening to this program, or maybe you are an economist as you listen to this program. If I can get equal value for less money, if I can go great value Walmart brand over the name brand, pay less money, have a very similar product, look, I'm going to do it every time. I'm going to do it every time. And when I cook dinner, when using those great value brands, I'm going to use a little extra salt and pepper. Use a little extra seasoning, probably utilize a scheme a little bit differently or a little better, and the meal is going to taste just as good. So I'm sorry, you don't need to always. I mean, yes, it makes you feel better about yourself. I'll tell you that when I buy the super nice premium cut steak, I do feel better about myself. I gotta walk around a little hoity-toity, but the great value brands get it done the same way. And so I think that the NFL is kind of using that similar analogy, and there's no real repercussion. There's no real recourse, no recourse for these running backs, I guess, until you get to the next collective bargaining agreement. And as long as you can get similar production for much less money, I think that you're going to see most NFL teams opt to go that way. I know that last week, a lot of people were upset with Matt Miller talking about drafting a running back in the first round, using him for 4 years, slapping a franchise tag on him for a fifth year, and then letting him walk and drafting another running back. Like, does it stink? Yes, it does. But that is kind of the life and times of an NFL running back, and that's how it works. All right, so we're going to put the NFL to bed. Congratulations, Bryce Young, big money. Obviously, Josh Jacobs, I'm hoping you do get your contract. The news on that this morning is he is prepared to hold out through the entirety of preseason, and he's not going to lose any money for that. He's not going to lose any money for that because he hasn't signed his franchise tag. Where he will start to lose that $10 million is if he starts to miss games. You miss preseason, that leads right into missing games. My other Derrick Henry note, did you see the Houston Oilers throwbacks? Oh my gosh, gorgeous. When I was a child, the Houston Oilers moved from Houston to Tennessee. They were the Tennessee Oilers for maybe a year or two, just very, very short time before they became the Titans. But going to enjoy seeing those old Oilers uniforms once again. Gorgeous, the baby blues, the red, the white. It looks great, and I think Derrick Henry will look great in that uniform. And let's spin this bad boy to recruiting. And then we will hear from head coach Jeris McIntrye from Tampa Catholic talking about Jameer Grimsley. Let's talk about what happened over the weekend. Two guys jumping onto the Alabama recruiting class, the 2024 class and the 2025 class. Let's start with the 2024s because you will see him first on campus, in 12 months or so, or he might be an early enrollee. Hopefully we can catch back up with William Sanders. Look, if you missed his commitment, you can look at it on the BamaCentral YouTube page. It's right there, right next to this video. I was out at Brookwood High School on Friday watching William Sanders make his college commitment. And a little inside baseball, William Sanders had already let the Bama staff know a couple of weeks prior that, yes, he is committing to Alabama. So it's just a formality on Friday, committing to the University of Alabama over LSU and Mississippi State. Great to be on hand for that. Head coach Mike Bramlett speaking to his character throughout the process. We also talked to Ronnie Clark, former Alabama running back and assistant football coach with the Brookwood Panthers. And we talked to William Sanders. So you can see that YouTube clip, about 15 minutes for the entirety of it. 3 interviews and the commitment ceremony, all right there on the BamaCentral YouTube page. But Alabama pulls in its third offensive lineman in the 2024 class. William Sanders, 6'4", 290. Look, you can see him standing next to me in that video, and I do admit, I do think maybe just a hair on the small side. But hey, if Nick Saban and Eric Wolford have said, hey, this guy's good enough, and if you want double downs, just look at the other scholarship options, LSU and Mississippi State and the like, UCF, Memphis. He had a lot of scholarship offers, lots of them. And I don't think that, look, I know, local kid, but Nick Saban is not just offering kids just because they're right next door. No way. Nick Saban doesn't waste scholarships. You cannot waste scholarships when you only have 85 to dole out and to divvy up throughout the 4 classes or sometimes 5 recruiting classes at one time on your roster. You can't waste a scholarship just on a feel-good story. This fellow, William Sanders, has stones for hands, has absolute rocks for hands. And if he hits you, you're gonna go down. And look, while he might be a hair undersized, this man is solid muscle. You can tell standing next to him, there's not 1 ounce of fat on him. And really, through our interactions on Friday, lots of great talk about his character, his hard work, his attention to detail, and I think those things are going to benefit William Sanders a ton as he goes through the last year of Brookwood and then comes onto campus here at the capstone of the University of Alabama. So now Alabama with Joseph Ionata, with Casey Poe, and William Sanders, all committed in the 2024 class. 3 offensive linemen, and I think 3 offensive linemen who really embody the Eric Wolford mentality of work. You heard the interview with Joseph Ionata, 2 weeks ago, and pretty much he said nasty in every other answer. I don't want to be a nasty player. This is what it means to be nasty. We want to bring that nasty, and I love that. Cannot wait to get that mentality. I think William Sanders is exactly that same sort of player, that grinder, the go-getter, the I'm going to finish every block kind of a player. And so great to see Alabama securing William Sanders on Friday, adding their 15th overall commitment in the 2024 class, still sitting with the number 5 overall recruiting class in the current cycle. Now, I had a little bit of communication with Mr. Casey Poe over the weekend. Casey Poe said he wants to jump on and join us pretty soon. He is out at church camp this week. So, Casey, hope you enjoy church camp and hopefully we catch up with you. That'll make for all 3 offensive linemen on the show already. We've already talked to Joseph Ionata. We talked to William Sanders on June 9th. If you want to go back and listen to that program or listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And then we also caught up with him on Friday after he made his commitment. On Saturday, Alabama got a huge commitment. Light, small guy, 6'1", 185, but hugely coveted Jaime Ffrench, wide receiver out of Jacksonville, and it becomes really the second 5-star wide receiver in the 2025 class. You guys already know about Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams out of Satterline High School, probably the dirtiest mother bleeper I have ever seen ever in high school. Ryan Williams, amazing player. Well, Ryan Williams goes out to an Elite 11 camp, goes out to actually an Under Armour camp this past year with Jaime Ffrench, and Jaime Ffrench steals the MVP award away. Jaime Ffrench and Ryan Williams are proving to be good friends already. You can see them congratulating one another on their Twitter accounts. And really, Jaime Ffrench seems like he is going to be the perfect complement to Ryan Williams. You look at that 2025 class, and it is all offensive players, and it is all superstars. You brought in Anthony Turbo Rogers, the number 1 player in the state of Alabama, already transferred to IMG. You've got Ryan Williams, already the Gatorade Player of the Year, Jaime Ffrench. You got 2 offensive linemen, and so you're starting to get this an elite offensive class in the 2025 class. So I'm really excited to see Jaime Ffrench and Ryan Williams pair together. And look, you'll obviously got to hold on to them for another 18 months. They've got to get to next December's signing date, but great to have these guys committed already. All right, one more recruiting note, well, maybe 2 more recruiting notes, and then we'll turn it over to our conversation with Jeris McIntrye, head coach of Tampa Catholic Crusaders and coaching Mr. Jameer Grimsley, 2024 cornerback. All right, so on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, we're going to be looking for DeMarcus Riddick. DeMarcus Riddick out of Chilton County High School, 5-star edge rusher. Kind of technically committed to the University of Georgia, but DeMarcus Riddick is hosting a commitment ceremony on Wednesday at 4 p.m. And I'm going to plan to be there. We're going to hopefully get down to Chilton County for BamaCentral. Make sure you're following us at Joe Gaither 6 and at BamaCentral for all of those news. I'm going to hopefully be there. He's, like I said, technically committed to Georgia. But he's considering Alabama and Auburn. And look, if you are hosting a commitment ceremony, let's read between the lines here, guys and girls. Let's read between the lines. How often do you host a commitment ceremony to reaffirm a commitment that you've already made? I think pretty rarely. think pretty rarely, so I think it's pretty likely that DeMarcus Riddick will flip to either Alabama or Auburn on Wednesday, and it's going to be a huge battle to get his commitment because this fella is a premier edge rusher, a bad dude coming off the edge, and pairing him up with Sterling Dixon would make for a great pair, in my opinion. You heard Sterling on my program, really one of the first recruits that we had in June. Sterling talked about trying to get DeMarcus Riddick into the class, and I think that is would be a huge get. Now, look, one thing that you've been seeing over the last week, and I think it's absolutely horrible, disgusting, and maybe it's just because it's it's become an Auburn trend. There has been a trend. There have been a couple of people, fans, making fake Alabama accounts and trolling and or disparaging some of these recruits. You're seeing it happen with DeMarcus Riddick right now. Oh, Alabama doesn't need you, blah, 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 blah. We don't want you. They're fake accounts. You can read about them. You can see them. You can find out who they really support, and most of them really support the Auburn Tigers. And look, support the Auburn Tigers if you want to. That's your own business. I'm not here to say be a fan of me or you or anybody. Be your own fan. But that's such horrible behavior, such despicable behavior to go onto social media and to say, look, stay out of recruits' DMs. Stay out of recruits' comments. Stay out of their mentions. I mean, if you want to be in their mentions, let's make it simple. Alabama would love to have you, sir. Auburn would love to have you, sir. Georgia would love to have you, sir. Whatever the case may be, support your own school. That's how you should be a fan. Support your own school. Let the other coaches negatively recruit. Don't be out there negatively recruiting. I saw DeMarcus Riddick's grandmother or alleged grandmother coming onto the social medias and basically saying some of this action and some of these some of this behavior has really opened her eyes and is opening the family's eyes. And so I don't think that it's really working the way that Auburn fans are intending. Perry Thompson getting the same treatment after Jaime Ffrench's recruitment. Look, they got Jaime Ffrench. They've already gotten Ryan Williams. They don't need you. You're going to go to Alabama and get lost in the shuffle. You're never going to play, blah, 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 blah. Look, stay out of these guys' DMs and mentions. It's not the right way to be. It's not the right way to be a fan. Look, I know that huge money is at stake, and you all want to win. You all want to see your programs perform at the highest levels. You want to see your players and your coaches and your teams playing with the best players. I understand that. Go out there and support them. Give these recruits a Roll Tide, a War Eagle, a Go Dog, something of the sort like that. Support your own program without disparaging, without negatively recruiting against other schools. I think that's very classless, and it makes me kind of sick to see, as recruiting has been one of my focuses over the last handful of months. All right, so that's going to do it for our program today. We had a lot of fun talking about several topics. I'm going to turn it over to head coach Jeris McIntrye. Now, what you're about to see or hear is a phone conversation that I had with Coach McIntrye this morning. Coach McIntrye and I spoke about 15, 20 minutes about Jameer Grimsley and really trying to get to know him. Hopefully, Jameer will join us on the program, but I had a little trouble getting up with Jameer, and so we do the next best thing, talk to his coach and try to find out what makes him tick, what makes him good, what makes him bad, what he needs to work on. Look, I'm excited about Jameer Grimsley. 6'3", 190, plays on both sides of the football. Nick Saban sees that 6'3" and drools. Says, oh my gosh, length at the cornerback position, length and speed at the cornerback position. And you're going to hear about Jameer Grimsley. You're going to hear about his connection with Coach T-Rob and Coach Jeris McIntyre's connection with Coach Travaris Robinson. So it was a great conversation. Coach McIntyre, I really appreciate you joining me today. I really appreciate giving us some of your time and really talking about Jameer Grimsley. For all the people who are still with us, this is head coach Jeris McIntyre, former Auburn Tiger, former Kansas City Chief, and NFL Europe alum, now head coach at Tampa Catholic, right here on the Joe Gaither Show, talking about Alabama 2024 commit cornerback Jameer Grimsley.
Hey there.
Good morning, Coach McIntyre.
How you doing?
Oh, very good, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
Coach, I appreciate you giving me some of your time this morning. I'm calling to, or thank you for calling me back, to get to know a little bit about Jameer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, basically, what I'm going to do is kind of run this interview in my show today and kind of put some highlights over it so people watching can see Jameer and just kind of listen to what you got to say about him, if that's all right. I got a handful of questions, and then we'll knock it out.
All right, sounds good.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm talking to Coach Jeris McIntrye of Tampa Catholic down in Tampa, and Coach, you just got you got Jameer this past kind of off season. He transferred from Bloomingdale. What's your relationship like with Jameer before he transferred, and kind of what can you tell us just about Jameer in general?
Yeah. Jameer is really, really a good football player, all around football player. He'll play some receiver for us as well as corner and safety. So, I'm excited to really get him out there and get him going. He'll be a big part of our team this year. So I'm excited, for the season to get going and see what he could do.
Absolutely. I watched some of his huddle tape and watched some of his film there. 6'3", 185. Just the length that he possesses and what that really can do for him as a defensive player. How have you seen him really kind of harness the length that he has, and how will you help him harness that and develop that further?
Yeah, having length always is a plus at all positions, but, especially at defensive back when you're able to in press coverage, use your length as well as going up against the bigger receivers and in the red zone and high point in the football and use that length to be productive in what you're doing as a defensive back. So I feel like the length is part of it, but he is a really fast football player and instinctive and smart. So he has it all of the above. He's continuing to work and hone on the skills as a DB. So I think he's only going to continue to get better as he gets experience and works on his technique and gets that training.
Absolutely. Coach, he transferred to Tampa Catholic from Bloomingdale. What will Tampa Catholic do for him as far as preparing him for college, and obviously now committing to Alabama in July, preparing him for the Tide?
I just think, obviously we that's pretty good football, play some good football. We got some other Division I players that he will be around, that he'll be able to compete with, compete against. Got a receiver, TJ Moore, that's going to Clemson, so he'll be able to go head up with them a lot through practice. So that's only going to help him and make him better and be prepared to for when he gets to Alabama, as well as some other guys on our team that are pretty good receivers that are going to push him and help him develop, man. Just going against the best every day. On top of our coaching, got some good coaches and some good schemes that he will be able to learn, and obviously we know it'll be a different level. With Coach Saban is the next level, but just kind of him knowing and learning the basics and some different things that we do, I think will be helpful for him when he gets to the next level.
Absolutely. Coach, well, a lot of people may not know this, but you played football at Auburn and played it with Kansas City and in NFL Europe. How's your experience really, or how has he really leaned on you with your experience getting into the next level, the recruitment, kind of just moving into the second levels of football past high school?
Yeah. Well, obviously, mother and his father have done a good job with him with all that. I mean, we communicate a lot and a lot of communication when it comes to this decision. They ask questions, but they had an idea of it all because his father, Jaime, playing at University of Central Florida, so he was recruited. His mother was an athlete, Jaime. I had to shout out her name because last time I did an interview, I said mom and dad, and she said you can say our name next time. So I'm shouting out the names this time.
Perfect.
So hopefully y'all hear this, but they were athletes at the University of Central Florida, and they had an idea of it. Obviously, things have changed with the recruitment and how things go, and the timetable of everything has been moved up. So I just kind of gave any information I had, and having dealt with kids that went through this process before, to try to help them make the best decision, or Jameer make the best decision for himself in the future. And I was able, like I said, to give advice from just knowing how this goes and dealing with guys before, and myself having dealt with it years ago. Signing with Auburn, going to Auburn, and having an opportunity to play in that league and drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. So any information or guidance that I could give, I'm going to continue to give. But he's on a straight path now, and I look forward to seeing what he's going to do for us this year and beyond.
All right, little quick question about Auburn. You didn't try to steer him to down to the plains, did you? I'm just teasing.
Man, he went up there. I mean, I guess I don't know how his experience was when he went up there, but he did go visit. I try not to steer the guys. I mean, of course, if they want to get to the plains and then play for Auburn, I'll be excited for them if it ever happens. Well, I've had some guys go there before, but I'm happy that he is going to Alabama. I have a really, really close friend, Jeris Robinson, T-Rob, that played with me at Auburn. That will be his defensive back coach when he gets there. So he'll be in good hands with Coach T-Rob. But, like I said, I'm happy for the kids wherever they go. If it is Auburn, I'll be, a little super excited. But you can't go wrong with the University of Alabama and being a defensive back.
And you're stealing my notes here. I was going to ask you about Coach Jeris Robinson and really just what his relationship like. Every time I talk to the athletes, they always talk about what a great man he is, how he connects with the players, and then just developing players. So just talk about or a question about Jeris Robinson and just kind of how he has grown. He's now not only the cornerbacks coach, but he's got the title of secondary coach taken over after Charles Kelly went on to Colorado.
Yeah, man, I'm just super proud of him. He was literally the first person I met when I got on campus to Auburn, and we've just been super close since then. One of my best friends. He's done a great job in the place that he's been, and like I said, I'm just super excited and proud for him. He's bringing in some big time defensive backs. Let's see, he got a kid from Cali, another one down in Alabama, now Jameer. So looks like he's putting together a really, really good 2024 class. Obviously, he has some good guys in 23 that they brought in as well. And I'm just excited for him. Hopefully the secondary doesn't play too well in the Iron Bowl. But outside of that, I root for him and hope, he does the best and continue to do what he's been doing for years he's been in it.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, you texted me a couple weeks ago when we were kind of getting set up a little bit about Jameer's helmet size. Did you guys have trouble getting him a helmet with the Crusaders?
Yeah, man. No, we found that. I told him all the coaches say he has a baby face and little bitty head. So we've definitely found a helmet for him, and he's ready to go, man. He's ready to go. We got him a good helmet to go, and he'll be ready when we start up Monday next week. Well, we did find a helmet that small, so I was good. I was happy we could do that.
Oh, okay. I was misreading that. I thought you were insinuating he had a large head. It's the other way around.
No, it's actually small. It's actually small. If you look at his one of his profile pictures on On 3, I think they've changed it since, but he looked like a little baby with a tiny head. So, me and T-Rob were laughing about that when he met him and all that stuff. But man, he's a heck of a player, great kid, and he's going to continue to do great things, man. Just gotta stay focused and keep working. He's been getting some outside training through Javier Arenas, who actually played for Coach Saban and won some national titles at Alabama. So he does outside training with him, and I think that's going to be helpful, and it has been helpful for him to help prepare him when he gets to Alabama. So we're proud of him. He's got to keep working and have a good senior season, a great senior season.
What are some of the things that you want to see Jameer improve on, either athletically or off the field, improve on in his final semesters of high school?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think, I want all my players to improve on everything. So I won't say everything, but he's an outstanding athlete that does a lot of stuff naturally. He's working on his technique. I think that's the biggest thing. Not that he doesn't have technique. I just think as a defensive back, a lot of it is technical. And as he continues to work on that, he's going to be really, really good. He's already really good now, but I think, he could be great as he continues to learn the techniques of playing defensive back. But not to be selfish, I'm, on the offensive side of the ball as a receiver, but he could be a great receiver too. I mean, for us, he goes out there and has good routes, great hands, can make plays down the field. So, He's going to play defensive back in college, but I would never count out wide receiver to shoot even both ways. I said a bad word on shoot even both ways because he is that dynamic, on the offensive side of the ball as well. So just improving on all aspects of the game, I would say.
There we go. I'm got about 2 more for you, Coach, and I really appreciate your time this morning. We're talking to Coach Jeris McIntyre, head coach of Tampa Catholic Crusaders. I'm reading that y'all went 9-2 last year. Are we expecting to go a little bit further or repeat on a strong season?
Yes, sir. That's always the plan. We're going one game at a time, but with the talent we got and the coaches that we have, we put it all together. That's what I envision. I just want to take it one at a time. Everybody has their goals, and goals come, for me, one day at a time, winning one by one, going one by one. So I look forward to it. That's what I want, and that's what we're expecting.
Well, I'm hopefully going to have a lot of Alabama fans listening to this interview trying to get to know Jameer as best as possible. I was looking up on Jameer's Twitter. He was promoting a Tampa Catholic Crusaders lift-a-thon, maybe donations. Is there any way that Alabama fans or people can get behind Jameer and get behind the Crusaders this season?
I think they did show some love. He got some donations. We
Good.
just closed it. But whoever did donate, I thank you. It's much appreciated. We raised, I think, in 2 or 3 weeks, or I want to say 3 weeks, about $33,000. So any Bama fans that did help, I much appreciate you.
Well, we want to absolutely support all our players from the moment they get on. So I really that's great to hear. That's awesome to hear. Okay, last one for me, really, Coach, is there anything about Jameer that you're not gonna read about on Rivals, on BamaCentral, on the big websites? Anything that stands out to you that people need to know about Jameer?
Oh man, the biggest thing for me really was his GPA being over 4 or 4, right under 4, over 4. Really smart kid, man. He take the honors, AP's courses, and he's just a really smart, intelligent kid. And I think that will take you a long way outside past football. So that's one thing that I would say, not that people don't know, but I would like for them to know, is that he's a strong. I mean, Troy is strong, but a very, very smart kid, strong in the classroom. So that's something that I want people to know. Just a lot of times you look at the football player and the guy in the helmet, but just knowing hey, this kid is a really smart kid. He can do it in the classroom and has a bright future after football. So I'm not sure if that answered the question, but that's
exactly the answer. Yes, sir. I want to know everything about him we can. Positive, absolutely. That's a huge positive. When I watched his recruitment at the very end of it, or when I watched his commitment, at the very end of it, everybody go 1, 2, 3, stop playing. Is there a story behind the stop playing? It feels like that's kind of a slogan for Jameer and his family.
Yeah. Well, so that guy, Coach Chauncey, I'm gonna give him a shout out.
Yeah.
Coach Jaime thing on Crunch Time Survivors, check him out. He was a youth league coach or one of Jameer's youth league coaches. So he actually did this commitment video in the mall, in the Brandon Mall, at one of the stores. So that's a little slogan that Coach Chang has for his Crunch Time Survivors podcast deal. And he just kind of shouted out and tell everybody to stop playing and let them know that it's real. And Jameer's a good kid and a baller that's going to do big things.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate your time this morning. We're going to be following the Crusaders all year long, and I really appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll get to catch up with Jameer in the near future, and you've really given me a lot, and I appreciate it this morning, sir.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I hope you have a great day.
All right, you too.
Yes, sir.
All right, so big thanks to head coach Jeris McIntyre for joining us on the program today. You can listen to that on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Amazon. You can watch it again on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You've got the Jameer Grimsley highlights going over it as Coach McIntyre and I spoke really about his highly coveted prospect. And look, it sounds like he's in a great spot. It sounds like Jameer's in a great spot to learn and continue to grow. He's going to be going up against Division I receivers and playing high-level football. Look, if you don't know about South Florida, if you don't know about Tampa, Florida, they got some high-level football. So Jameer's going to be tested this year, and you love the college background of both his parents. Interesting that both of them were UCF Knights, and you love the college background of his coaching staff. So look, very, very happy to have Jeris McIntyre on the program. Really appreciate his time. You can follow him at Jeris McIntyre and give him a shout out or tell him that you appreciate his time. We can support the Crusaders and their program throughout the whole year. Obviously, we want to see Jameer perform well, stay healthy, perform well, and have a lot of success. Make sure you're following Jameer Grimsley as well on Twitter at jamrock_. At jamrock_. Let him know that you maybe want to hear him on my program. I would love to hear him on my program. We've had a couple of conversations. We're just trying to work out the right time to get Jameer on the program. Really appreciate Coach McIntyre joining me to talk about his highly coveted prospect. Really exciting to see Jameer Grimsley jump onto campus, get to the capstone very, very soon, and continue the tradition of great defensive back play right here in Alabama. So for me, that's going to do the program. I'm Joe Gaither. This was the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. You guys can follow me at Joe Gaither6 on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, really wherever you get your social medias. It's at Joe Gaither6. Send me your comments, questions, queries, and complaints if you want to do that. And then obviously follow Jameer Grimsley at jamrock_, at Jeris McIntyre for Coach McIntyre. Really appreciate their time. We are at BamaCentral for all things Alabama. We appreciate everybody following us at BamaCentral. We're going to be covering all things Alabama. Oh my gosh, we're like a week and change away from fall camp actually opening. So we're going to be over there at the Malmore Center, over there in the Hank Chris, hopefully trying to see what we can see, interview who we can interview, and keep things rolling right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. So for Chris Walsh, that's my boss. For you, the listener, appreciate your time. Make sure you tell a friend about this show. You can follow it on podcast or on visual, whatever you guys want to do. We'll be always live pretty much every day, Monday through Friday, right here at 1 o'clock, and then putting out the podcast and the playbacks right after that. So everybody, I hope you have a great Monday. Enjoy your time. That's going to do it for the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.